Hello and welcome to this edition of FS Mania. Today we are located in southeastern Alaska in the picturesque community of Ketchikan. We flew in here last week in Aerosoft's version of the Cessna Citation 10, and we're going to be here for a couple of weeks of flight training in Real Air's Beechcraft Turbine Duke version 2. New video on this sweetheart coming to FS Mania soon. Alaska is considered to be a land of extremes. It is extremely large at over 660,000 square miles, which is 1.718 million square kilometers, making it easily the largest state in America. Alaska is extremely beautiful, and it is also extremely dangerous. This seems like the perfect place to push the FS Mania envelope, so since we are already here, I decided there is no way I'm coming to Alaska and not taking the opportunity to do some seaplane flying. There's 3 seaplane bases in Ketchikan and at least another 4 or 5 bases within a 20 to 30 mile radius of Ketchikan. Seaplane flying combines the 2 most expensive hobbies known to man, tongue-in-cheek, or put another way, it combines the best of both boating and flying worlds. It's actually not too difficult to add a seaplane rating to your pilot's license. On average, you're looking at about 6 to 10 hours of dual flight instruction. Typical aircraft used for instruction are the Piper Super Cub, which runs about $200 per hour. That amount includes the instructor's fee. The Cessna 180 is also a popular choice, but runs a bit more in the $500 an hour range. And if you really want to push the envelope, then you should go for the deHavilland Beaver DHC-2, which is a 7-place single-engine airplane that is powered by a 450 horsepower Pratt & Whitney radial engine. The Beaver is going to run you in the neighborhood of $600 to $700 per hour for dual instruction. Just as a comparison, when I did flight training in the late 70s in a 2-seat Cessna 152, the airplane ran $18 per hour, which included the fuel, and the instructor's fee was $7 per hour, for a total of $25 per hour. I went from a check ride with a little over 47 hours of total time. 27 hours were dual and 20 hours solo, which calculates out at a whopping total of $1,035 US. Man, I miss those days. I had the best flight instructor ever, and his name was, wait for it, Stoney. Pretty good name for a pilot. Because we are in the business of pushing the envelope at FS Mania, today we're going to be flying Aerosoft's version of the deHavilland DHC-6 Twin Otter. You don't even want to know how much this baby costs per hour for dual. But if you're curious, best guess, we're looking at somewhere in the $3,000 range. But since we already own the model, it's basically free for us, and since we don't have to worry about the cost, I don't think it would be a stretch to say, for us anyway, the Twin Otter would probably be considered the ultimate seaplane for flying in and around Alaska. On this flight, so we can spend more time flying, I'm not going to go into my normal amount of detail about the airplane and the startup procedures. If you want to see that level of detail, be sure to check out the FS Mania series on the Twin Otter under the playlist tab of our channel page. One other thing, before we board the aircraft, I had a little issue with the sound in the first portion of the flight that caused the engine noise to be louder than normal, making it a bit difficult to hear me talking. I edited that portion of the flight down to minimize the louder than normal noise levels. However, in terms of reality, it's probably fairly close to the noise level in the real-world Twin Otter, without a good headset, so I decided to leave some of that in for the sake of realism. Okay, enough chit-chat. Climb aboard, buckle up, and let's go flying. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Cabin doors are closed, control locks are removed, and DC master switch is on, battery is on external, and our fuel cutoffs are in the cutoff position, prop levers full forward, start locks are on, and the props controls are in the flight idle position. And let's get on our beacon and no smoking, and let's get some fuel pumps on here, and we'll go ahead and clear on the right, clear on the left. Be sure I got panel lights. Let's get those on. See if I can reach them. There they are. There we go. We can see a little better. And let's go ahead and engage that starter. Right engine first. And let's add some fuel. Looks like we got a good light. And we're just watching the NG gas generator while it's stabilized. Oil pressure is in the green. Everything looks good there. Start number 1. Start sequence complete. Let's get those generators on. Nav light, we'll cut that on. That's pretty loud. I hope you can hear me okay. Nav lights, and cut on our avionics. We'll get those going. Sea level. It's pretty high today. It's about 3044. And that puts us right at sea level. It's where we want to be. Now I want to go ahead and set our flaps 10 degrees for takeoff. So you see the little indicator there. And we can verify it right there is good. Let's check these flight controls out. Everything looks good there. And we'll go ahead and get our... We don't really have a taxi light per se with this landing gear configuration, with the flow configuration. We'll go ahead and cut our strobes on. And let's cut these bleeds on. And our pitot heat, we want to get that on. I think that's everything up here. And we're going to remove these start locks. Hopefully we're not going to slip away here, but I'm going to ease us back into beta range till they come off. There they are. Then we'll come back up in flight idle. Uh-oh. Away from this airplane here. Asymmetrical thrust. Okay, that's working out all right. Add a little bit more to the port side. Yeah, caught that pretty quick. That's good. As soon as I took those start locks off, it wanted to start moving forward. That was quick on those throttles. Power levers. There we go. These together now that we're away from the dock. Power levers will lock together. Yeah, now we're in idle. Okay. And we're lined up, good to go. temps are set, 10 degrees. Takeoff trim, let's make sure I get that set. And we're good there. Strobes are on, pitot heat's on, bleed air is on. Let's cut on our auto feather. Yep, had to think for a second. Landing lights, start locks, okay. And we're good to go. All right. Yeah, even in idle, we're actually could probably use some beta range to slow us up, but yeah, we're doing 7 knots even in idle, so it's actually probably pretty realistic. All right, power's coming up. I'll pull back on the stick a little bit to get those floats come up. We should feel it come up on the step as it's called. There it is. better. I just used our noise canceling on our headset. That sounds a little better. I hope that didn't ruin the video. I see some traffic over there. And we'll go ahead and get a first stage of flaps in. Second stage of flaps. So what I want to do is just clear that tree line. There's some more just added. Thank you, AutoGen. And I just hope they don't get any taller. Third stage of flaps. There's 500 feet. Landing is imminent. So that's about a 3,600 foot mountain there in front of us. Make sure I have rudder control. I don't. Yaw damper's still on. Now I've got it. There we go, ever so slightly. And we'll come back auto beta mode. Okay, little jerk there at the end. Had some rudder in there, it caught. What's going on with my light, landing light? Let's be a short. So this is what I call it. Tongass, no, not Tongass, Tamgass Harbor. Little seaplane base. I see one airplane. Okay, here we go. miss that mountain, turn around here, back to the right, head back to Ketchikan. Okay. So there's the Annette Island Airport. You can see the gravel runway there. Runway 11 and 29 paved, 7,500 foot. Pretty nice airport. And the little community over here, Metlakatla, it is right in there. And there's a seaplane base over here. I think if we sort of hug the mountains here over on Annette Island, we'll be able to see the base. I have not seen any airplanes there so far. Sort of an urban legend in Alaska is that the men here outnumber the women something like 10 to 1. So if you're a woman, this would be a good place to come find a husband, one would think. I don't think those numbers are exactly right. Depends on what part of Alaska, I suppose, since it's such a big place. There's probably places where women are outnumbered 10 to 1, but not everywhere. But at any rate, the women have a saying in Alaska, the odds are good. They also say the goods are odd. What do you suppose they mean by that? We'll take auto feather off, and yaw damper, we'll put that back on. Just picking up a few little bumps around here. Might help us smooth out. And I'll come back with the power, getting a little higher than I want to be. And there is the little seaplane base right there. Not, as I said, not seen an airplane there per se. And what other fun fact? Oh, I know a fun fact that I meant to mention on our way back to Ketchikan. We flew in here the other day in the Citation 10, and we're here just for a couple of weeks to do some training in the Turbine Duke, which also, by the way, has the same PT6 engine as the Twin Otter. Close to 600 horsepower, and if you think about it, it's a much smaller airplane, so that's a lot of power for that airplane. And I'm certainly having a great time. It's a fantastic airplane, having a great time learning to fly it. But yeah, the Citation 10 I was going to mention, the very first one was delivered in 1996 to world famous golfer legend Arnold Palmer. Fun fact. Just a few little fun facts there as we cruise back over here to Ketchikan. So what we're going to do is come in here and do a little landing at the Ketchikan Harbor. Quite a bit of seaplane activity. They buzz around basically like flies. The cruise ships come in and bring a lot of passengers. They like to take tours, and one of the tours that's popular is seaplane, float plane flying. So they're all over the place, and which might explain why there's so many bases around. But also, you got to admit, this is a great place to have a float plane if you're going to have one. So we're just watching for traffic over here coming down through the Tongass Narrows. I don't see any. And there's a little community out here called Mountain Point. And there's another community over here called Saxaman, right off our nose. And then, of course, Ketchikan over to the right. So we're going to go ahead and ease our power back and start slowing up for our descent. Won't come back too far. There we got about 15 foot-pounds. And I'll go ahead and get those landing lights on. They were on. That's fine. Good being good visible, good and visible. And I'm going to dump this right here, and we'll go ahead and get our auto feather and get it slowed up. So I don't use track IR. There's times when I feel like it would really be handy. Absolutely. I have used it in the past, but so sometimes I do have my hands full of airplane and looking around with my mouse. But when I had it, I never really could get used to it. Seems like I was all over the place, and when I make videos, I got enough to do without worrying about that. I'll go ahead and get a notch of flaps in. But I'll have to keep repositioning my head so I can see the instruments. Actually, I do have easy dock, and that helps because I have some cameras that are set pretty well for what I need. Get some nose up trim here. Bring some power back in just a little bit. Slow my descent slightly. And we'll get another notch of flaps in here. Make sure I got rudder. Yes, I do. That's one way to check to be sure the yaw damper's off without looking. That yaw damper's on. I got no rudder. And we'll get third stage of flaps in. Almost wish I'd have just left the second stage because we're going to need to ditch them when we touch down. And I want to try to touch down at a pretty slow speed. So we do have a little bit of wind coming in behind us. Okay, flaps coming up. And we'll bring our power back in. Flaps up. And there's the Ketchikan International Airport. Off to our left. Bring that prop back. Power back a little bit. That's where we just took off from. And that's where we're heading back. Watch that mountain. And trim our nose over here. Level us off. So just a quick little tour of the area. Hope you enjoyed that. And there is another Seaplane base over here. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. Murphy's, I think it's called. Yeah, there it is. Right there. And I got a few planes out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7, I think. So, great. Okay. We'll just leave our auto feather on because we're getting ready to land. Our landing light is still on. Yaw damper is off. And there's the runway, right on schedule. We get some flaps in. Got rudder? Yes, I do. Let's get the gear down. Almost forgot that, but there it is. We're not landing on water this time. Winds are a little bit out of the south today, so expecting just a little bit of drift to the left since it's coming off the right. And we'll go ahead and get the third stage of flaps in there. Lights on the pavement. Power coming off. Trying to stay on that center line. There we go. And beta. Flaps coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ketchikan International Airport. Thank you for flying with us. Flying this seaplane has been pretty difficult, I gotta admit. Partly because I have AccuFill and I was using that and it was, I think, doing more harm than good, and I finally cut it off, and actually the airplane performed a lot better in the water without it. And I'm sorry, AccuFill, but that's how I feel. I kept having problems. I finally looked over at the Aerosoft forums, and there seems to be differing opinions about it, but some people said it helped them, some people said it didn't, so I tried it without it. For me, better off without it. So just kind of bring our power back here and let me clean up the airplane and then we'll taxi on in, shut her down. So we'll get these landing lights off. Actually, I'm going to leave them on just because there's really not a taxi light on this airplane because there's no nose gear. And flaps are up. Let's get those strobes off. We can do that. And de-icing, we'll cut off this pitot heater and anything else. Our transponder can go into standby mode. Again, there's no radar in this area other than well, actually, I shouldn't say that because there is a center, anchorage center, and I'm sure they have. I'm gonna pop that brake and let's see if we can get on down here. I'm sure Anchorage Center has radar coverage in this area now that I think about it. Potentially. Maybe not down low as we were at 1,500 feet though. Alright, we did get our brake off. I'm adding power. I'm expecting the airplane to move. There it goes. Sometimes it does seem like it takes a little bit more power to get it going. Now we got a downhill, long downhill slope. So once we get going downhill, I'm going to ease it on back down. Actually use the brakes a little bit here. I don't want to take off again. I think I could. That'd be fun. On this taxiway. Now, we're not going down there because my office that I'm working out of while I'm here, training in the Duke, the Turbine Duke, is right here. Fine little office space I have leased for my stay here. So we get to park our airplane right here. Okay. Let's set our brake. And I'll go through that shutdown checklist. Power lever back to idle. Now we can go ahead and pull our fuel shutoffs. There's that one. There's that one, and let's feather those props. It wouldn't let me. Okay, it automatically put it in start lock, I think. Yeah, it looks like it did. Okay, and we can take off that auto feather. Everything winding down. There it is, nice and quiet. And we'll shut off the... Now that's kind of interesting. Did I hear water splashing up against the floats here on dry land? Yeah, I think I do. Okay, that's a little weird. We are amphibious here. So I'm going to open up the door so I can hop out. And watch my step here. Yeah, I see that propeller. I'd hate to hit that baby. Okay, and we'll just jump. There we go. Alright, well, Twin Otter, you did a good job. You know, it's a whole lot taller airplane with the floats on there. Pretty snazzy little rig there. Wheels and floats. Best of both worlds. Got some little ways to step up there in the cockpit with those struts. So that's it. Thank you for joining me, and next up will be the Turbine Duke. We're going to be flying out of here and flying over to Juneau. Put on my rocket powered tennis shoes. I like to do that so we get an overall view as we're leaving. And there's the general aviation ramp here at Ketchikan Airport, and you can see the cruise ships over there, and there's the dry dock where they do a lot of shipyard type work. Got a couple of big boys over there. Thanks for joining me on this very special fun flight with the Seaplane and helping me to well, you didn't really help me do anything, but you did join me, so I appreciate that. And from FS Mania, until next time, so long.